this is part two to the price of apathy is a loss of control. So whenever you're fighting for something, a lot of the times you consciously make that decision that your involvement or your willpower, and this could be whether it's a physical fight or a verbal argument, your willpower is the most important investment you can give in that situation, right? That logic also, it applies inversely too. If you decide to withdraw from a conflict, you're tacitly saying that abstaining from whatever conflict or scenario that you're in is the best investment you could add. Now, I won't go too deep into the physical fights because there's so many asterisks that go into it. Like it's not just your willpower that comes into play. Just that. But we're just talking straight arguments and disagreements, or interpersonal and societal issues type stuff. We'll have a little bit more of an understanding of what I mean by giving yourself to the current may not be the best option for you. One of the best case scenarios that I know of is just accepting work or additional work rather, at your job or place of employment. Whenever you decide to do that, you also tacitly agree that you are able now to do things outside of your job description that you signed up for. That is letting the river take you. That is what that is. That's allowing the current to take you downstream to wherever inlet or waterfall that you decide to go to. So, excuse me, damn phone. And one of my biggest issues with that is it doesn't end. It doesn't end at all. It continues to keep going, and then when you finally decide to step up for yourself, now it's considered pejorative. You standing up for yourself. Why? Because people in positions of authority or people who've had overt influence over you are looking at it from a perspective of, you've allowed me to take advantage of you this far, why not more? And you have to ask yourself, why? Why did you give no fucks enough to stand up for yourself in that situation? When you do things like that, you understand after probably a couple of times of getting fucked over that I might have fucked myself. You're looking at the other person like, why are they fucking me? It's because you're bending over. It's because you're bending over. It's the truth. Right? Same type of logic applies if, it doesn't have to be a Fortune 500 company or some type of HR position. Because that's essentially the example I'm talking about. You're being delegated work tasks at a Friday, having to out process payroll when you work in HR. You don't work in payroll. You don't work in finance. But that's what you're doing because you accepted that responsibility without either making sure it was defined in your job description, or you just accepted it expecting and hoping more pay will come out of it. Now, in the job that you're trying to excel and become the next guy at, it's understandable that you would take on some minor responsibility based on your pay. Minor. Or lack thereof against pay. Additional pay. You don't take on a department lead position without a pay increase. Some people do that. And they wonder after a while why their situation hasn't improved or changed. Same thing can apply to someone who's a cook. or a cashier. If you're told or asked as a cook to count tills or to ring up a customer, or if you're told as a cashier to go in the back line, I know for a fact that those roles are a little bit more separated. You got to know it's not I don't believe it's about knowing your worth, because your worth is intrinsic to you. You can think you're worth $1,000,000, but if you walk outside and you have an eviction notice and you have, intent to repossess on your vehicle, and your checks aren't clearing all of the bills, you're not living in delusion, but you're also not here in reality. I do think there's a skillful line you have to tiptoe with that reality slash delusion, because you do have to live in some type of minor delusion to get to the success that you want. But the real part about it is that shit still happens, right? But back to, I guess, the prompt. When it comes to men and women in this specific situation, when it comes to being apathetic, it hurts the men more in the long run than it does the women, because those, I'm not saying that women don't hurt. This isn't like a one-way street type of a thing. What I am saying, though, is the way that men respond in hindsight to the apathy is completely different than how women respond to the hindsight of apathy. Case in point, like, most relationships are ended by women for the most part. We understand this. There's always a reason here or there. We're not going to get too much into that stuff. But what we can talk about is the specific reasons why men were apathetic to create that feeling of non-wantedness. And a lot of the times, relationships, as a guy, I can speak to this. I won't put it on all guys. I won't. But most guys, it's the thrill of the chase, and then the relaxation of the kill after the hunt. When it comes to relationships, essentially, I'm saying we get the prize and then we just put it on the shelf. We become slightly apathetic to the gold shiny trophy. We don't. After we've done everything to obtain it, we'll polish it and shine it up, but we won't really, or we'll keep that up for some time. After a while, we'll collect dust and start to rust, and we'll just walk past it every once in a while and just like, yeah, we got the trophy. Yes, in this specific instance, I am referring to women as objects because it's fair. Sorry, my hat's doing a thing. It's fair in this specific instance, because that's the game. I'm not here to, I guess, sugarcoat shit or tap dance over titillating thoughts. I'm not. It doesn't matter to me. Whenever guys decide to be apathetic in that manner, it usually breeds an antithesis action. That is an opposite and equal reactions. I didn't mean to say antithesis. Antithesis was on my head. And with that, it becomes a little bit confusing. Like, just being plain, if a guy decides to be non-satisfactory in the bedroom, and that's consistent, like he doesn't put any work into, he becomes apathetic to improving that part of his relationship. Well, you can't really be surprised on the opposite end when she exhibits a lack of sexual want, she's not as interested. That's a equal and opposite reaction to your apathy. And I think that my hat is doing a thing. I don't like how It's weird. And I do believe that whenever a guy experiences that, the first thing he looks at is he looks outward first. He doesn't look inward. What is she doing to precipitate this behavior? Instead of looking at what has happened or what have I done to create the air for this new behavior to start exhibiting itself. So that's really what this video was about. It's just correlating my first video of the prompt. The price of apathy is a loss of control. You lose control over that relationship. You don't have control over the person. You have control over the relationship and the direction it's going when you're empathetic and alert about the things that are happening in it. But when you become apathetic, what ends up happening is you lose control, not to her, but to everything outside of the relationship, right? That you can't control now comes into your relationship and assumes control. And you can't control that stuff. Like, you can't control if another guy talks to your woman. And you can't control if she responds. But what you can control is the investment that you've put inside of the relationship to make her think whether or not that's a wise investment for her to return to that person. Because every woman or every person that happens to get accosted or talked to in a relationship, I like accosted sounds about right, because every time you happen to be in a relationship, it feels like that. Like, why the fuck are you talking to me? Like, can't you see that? Like, I look all right. I'm obviously taken type of shit. Like, that's not that. I'm speaking, holistically, not just like about me, but that's just anybody. Like, you, especially if you like the person that you're with. I do think it's indicative of how we may need to improve our interpersonal communications with each other. And it starts with, I won't say it starts with men or women, it just starts with understanding that when you decide to not give a fuck, there's only two options: to give a fuck or to not give a fuck. That's it. That's the only two options you got. If you decide to not give a fuck, that's it. That's it. Let it rock. Understand the outcome is out of your control now. If you decide to give a fuck, the power that comes with that is the assumption of control. And all of us humans, to really move forward in our lives, have to assume some control of over our environment. All of us. This bedroom is my environment. My bed is made, my cover's folded, the shoes are fucking neatly planted here. My weights are all, assorted: 25, 40, 40, 35, 20, 20, 10. Like everything is here. My workbench is right here. My work computer is right. I have control over this specific environment that allows me to do this. So I said these videos weren't going to go over 10 minutes. I think we're probably hitting that, but that's all we're doing. This isn't for like 40-year-olds or 50-year-olds. I'm not saying that those guys can't enjoy this information. This is just for someone who's a little bit on the younger side and may not. Now, I truly mean younger, like going through their youth at like 18, 19, 20, right? But may not have an ear for a little bit more sophisticated speech. I speak slow and a little dull, if you will, like not, super exuberant. But that's mainly because the reasoning for that is so you understand that this shit isn't not, like, this isn't me trying to sell you a product or teach you. Excuse me. I gotta stop doing that. I'm just giving my experience, and if you so choose to hear it, and cool. You have a little another nugget to take with you. But I'm not trying to teach you. Like, I'm not trying to sell you a course. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing like that. Like, I believe that through the things that's happened in my life individually, I can give a little bit, just a little bit, that somebody can run with. So I'm going to cut it there. I'm going to hope that this video actually clips and records the way that I need it to, because I'm recording this a different way. I usually stream and then post the stream, but it's weird, and even more so, this shit is pissing me off, like, because all these little sound cuts are going to be in the video. Like, I'm not going to cut this shit out.